I'm your co-host, Jamal Maxey from Pitch Lounge. Thank you for joining us on time. Just going to wait a few minutes to allow people to come in from the waiting room and join us. In the meantime, paste your LinkedIn links into the chat. Maybe introduce what you do. And just give us a few minutes and we will start shortly. Thanks. Yeah, in case that anyone missed it, we are recording the event. It is also being live streamed to our YouTube, LinkedIn channels. If you do have a problem with this, maybe keep your camera off. This is also your opportunity to leave the event in case you're not happy with being recorded. And these recordings will be available on catch up on demand immediately after the event. So if you have to, for whatever reason, leave us during the course of the event, then you will be able to catch up on the parts you missed afterwards. But it's always lovely to have you in with us in the Zoom call. I know a lot of you are regulars here. We've got Peter, who attends a lot of our events, who's presenting today. In fact, Chris Cochran, thank you for joining again. He's come back after having presented with us in the past. Andrew Friedman, also a regular. So it's wonderful to have many of you back. And I know it's a lot nicer to have this very interactive format where we can be asking questions, commenting, supporting each other, and seeing how we can help each other out. It's lovely to see the interaction between two of the presenters tonight before the call started, and to hearing about how they've met each other at different trade fairs and know about each other's products, and are excited to hear more and to hear an update on how they're both doing today. So we want to really cultivate that community dynamic. So please, if you can stay in the Zoom call, that's great. And if you happen to not be available for the whole hour and a half, 2 hours, then we do understand. But yeah, be interactive in the chat during the event. Thanks. Those just joining us, welcome to the Beverage Pitch Lounge. I'm your co-host, Jamal Maxey. We're going to start in 2 minutes. If you've just joined, feel free to paste your LinkedIn link in the chat, just like we've had with Simsy Nichols, and explain who you are and what you do. It'd be nice to cultivate that spirit of networking from the off. I'll be opening the event very shortly, just in a minute or two, and handing over to my co-host, Neeraj Singh.
Hey, Monica, how's it going? It's, how's your market good market strategy coming along?
Hi, we're going live in 45 markets beginning of next week. And
Wow,
we rolled out 10 days ago. We already have retailers on their second orders now for stacking. So
congratulations! Wow,
thank you. I've had 25 years in this industry. I've never seen anything like it. So here we are.
congrats, nice. Are you guys still in Brazil? Is that right? Is that part
We're
of the?
going to we're going to launch Brazil, but I have Italy. I'm just finalizing the paperwork. UK, Canada. I think we're going to wind up pushing Brazil into January because we have to have a separate production for that, the regulatory side. But yeah,
Congratulations! Wow,
thank you.
Good to
that's
have you
much
back,
deserved.
Monica. Also lovely to have David Laurie join us. Nice to have you back after being a panelist recently. So welcome to the Beverage Pitch Lounge. I think we're ready to start. The event is being recorded and live streamed on YouTube and across our LinkedIn channel. I'm proud to open this inaugural new event in a new series. This will be a series that we'll produce every 2-3 months, and then we'll live stream to showcase the best of beverage innovation globally. This is actually our 10th drinks-focused event since January 2024, all of which we've co-produced and has been actively involving Neeraj, who's joining me tonight. So in addition to Neeraj, we also have Sascha Dutta, Meiraj Ahmed, and Varun and Pavan, who are in the background today, and also Emile, who's on the panel, who've been regularly supportive in flying the flag and creating a very supportive community for founders and bringing investors and founders and consultants together over the last 20 months. And we wish it long to continue. In total, we produced 125 startup investor pitch events since 2020 across not just the food and beverage space, but also edtech, female founders, and other sectors. But food and beverage remains our favorite 80 plus events in this area. We're going to just moving to the next slide, please. We do have a webinar coming up after the event, which is from one of our active sources of panelists, which is from InvestBev. So they've got a webinar happening in 2 hours about their accelerator program for $100,000. So that's going to come up on screen shortly. So the time for the UK will be 7 p.m. So Greenwich Mean Time, or British summer time, 7 p.m. That webinar starts. It's an hour long, and you can catch it then. So this event won't be going on as long, and we'll be overlapping with that. Okay. Then we also have an event coming up on the 30th of July, which is one of our events. We've run this event for now 5 years, usually every 2-3 months. And this will also be live streamed and will be quite a broad church across the food and beverage sector. So we have everything from food science to ag tech to food delivery and also CPG, food retail. So, and including drink as well. So it's a very broad event. We'd love to have all of you back. But obviously today is a bit of a different dynamic, being very drinks focused. So then quickly introducing who your co-hosts are tonight. And also pleasure to introduce my co-host, Neeraj Singh. He's not only a co-producer and moderator with Pitch Lounge, but he's also an advisor to health and wellness startups and a specialist in the wine sector. And currently also the head of overseas development in the US for Perfect Seller, who one of our startups who pitched last February with Pitch Lounge. He has advised the C-suite at companies like Treasury Wine Estates and Delicato Family Vineyards and Trinchero Family Estates in the wine industry. He's continuing his work in the beverage industry by consulting with startups in other beverage sectors to help them scale, export, and especially set up and expand to the United States. He recently created a partnership between Trinchero Family Estate, the second largest family-owned winery in the world, and Perfect Seller for their go-to-market strategy in the US. And he also secured an investor from the Bay Area for Perfect Seller to initiate their fundraising efforts in the US market. Congratulations to all parties. He helped create and launch the first wine and packaging program affiliated with the UC Davis MBA program. And it's a great pleasure to hand over to Neeraj to moderate the vast majority of the event. And thank you very much, Neeraj, for joining us again and supporting.
Jamal, thank you so much. I appreciate the introduction. So I want to introduce Jamal, who moved to Berlin 6 years ago to teach and has organized 100 plus events, or in-person, hybrid, and online events in the startup sector. Almost a year ago, he studied on a VC program at the London Business School, strengthening his ability to make investor introductions and coach startups on their investor pitches. He lives between Germany, India, and the UK, and is open to new hybrid and remote work and business partnership opportunities. The Beverage Pitch Lounge series is committed to supporting drinks and beverage startups across drinks, CPG, and beverage startups. We host a varied and innovative early stage and mature startups who are raising investment and deliver them the following value: exposure, support, valuable connections. We are also building an inclusive and supportive pitch community, creating invaluable pitching opportunities for startups as well. We would like to also thank our supporting companies, Meiraj AI, for supporting with branding, marketing, and interns, and freelance promo team, Pavan, Fatima, Varun, and Sarthak. Thank you so much, guys. Before we dive into the pitches, I will take a moment to outline the event structure and introduce our investor advisor panel and the startups. So we have at least 3 startups today. Each of them will present with about 20 minutes of Q&A and presentation. So there will be an event summary announcement and an invitation to briefly join the Zoom networking rooms and or move into the InvestBev webinar about their 100K accelerator program. So there are a few guidelines and opportunities for the audience, and that's being pasted into the chat now. So thank you, Pavan, for your support on that. I'm now going to introduce our advisor panel. We have Carly Foxwell. Carly Foxwell is the director of Fox in the Well, a consultancy focused on brand strategy and business development within the drinks industry. She serves as an advisor to innovative beverage brands like Unlimited and Botivo Drinks, supporting their growth and market positioning. As an angel investor and drinks industry specialist, Carly brings strategic insight and funding to early stage companies, shaping the future of the beverage sector. Find out more about Carly and connect via the links in the chat. Thank you, guys. Next, we have Emile Ward. He is an exited founder, and having sold his business in 2010 to the second largest wholesaler in the UK. He is an active angel investor, specifically in the beverage sector, and has executed 10 investments to date. He also advises drinks brands in all things e-commerce, branding, digital marketing, and supply chain operations. To find out more about him, please look at the link in the chat. Next, we have Scott Rosenbaum. He brings a decade of experience in retail, importing, and distribution, offering founders deep industry insights and hands-on brand building support. He's also a passionate educator and co-host of the Business of Drinks podcast, where he shares real-world lessons from across the beverage and startup landscape, which I love, by the way. I absolutely love that podcast. So find out more about Scott and connect via the link in the chat. So now we're going to welcome the startups. First, how about Peter from Wine That's Fruit? Why don't we go with you?
Hi, everybody. My name is Peter Allen, founder of the company Wine That's Fruit, and we'll be covering my pitch in a minute.
Yeah, I'll just share a quick little promo video from InvestBev before we jump into the pitches. Okay, 1 second.
Founders ask me all the time, what's the one thing I could tell them to make them successful? And so I go in my head and I'm thinking, is it make a great brand? Is it a label? Is it formulation? Is it any of those things? And the answer is no, it really isn't. What makes a great founder is grit. is tenacity, is the willingness not to give up, because this business does that to you. The best founders I know have been failed founders many times before. So what makes a great founder? A great founder is someone who says, no, I've lost, and then the next day says, but I'm going to try again. And those are the great founders, and those are the people you want to work with in InvestBev.
That was a short little intro from Brian Wilson from InvestBev. Their webinar will be taking place shortly in under 2 hours' time at the end of our event. Okay. Now back to Peter and Neeraj.
Awesome. Well, Peter, why don't you go ahead and present if you're ready?
Okay, brilliant. Let me try and share. Seeing the screen okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for confirming. Well, welcome everybody to the world of wine that's fruit. We want to go beyond the grape, and let's together redefine the world of wine, one can at a time. So I'm Peter Allen. I've been passionate about fruit wines since I was a teenager, when I started making them from fruits and vegetables. So the big idea, what are we about? We're about making mouth-bursting fruit, British fruit wine in a can for on-the-go millennials that's vegan-friendly, gluten and sulfite-free. So this is our target market is millennials, but we have a problem. The current wine offer isn't aligned to the millennials' priorities. We see a couple of millennials here in the wine aisle. Typical comments you would hear: why is this wine so unexciting? We see innovation in all other drinks brands, but we haven't seen innovation in the wine sector. Question would be, well, should we try something different? Why is it always served up in a 75 centiliter glass bottle? It's not portable, it's not easy to transport around, and it's got a very high carbon footprint, mainly due to the weight of the glass. The questions around things like preservatives. Why do all wines have sulfite in them to preserve them? Nearly all wines have sulfite in. And people like to drink things that are pure and natural and know what's in them. And they certainly don't want to have preservatives where they're not needed. And also there's a growing market in the vegan and gluten-free categories. So why are wines predominantly not vegan friendly? So we can see that we're not aligned to millennials' priorities. So what is the solution? The solution is simply to innovate in the wine space. You can have exciting new English wines made from fruits other than grapes. You can put them in portable, recyclable cans, thereby cutting the carbon footprint and making them very accessible and able to be transported and portable. This encourages a single serve, which is in with the trend of drinking less but better, and sometimes called premiumization. But you can also make the wines with no nasties in them. They can be sulfite-free, vegan-friendly, and gluten-free. Which leads us to our range. We have a range of 4 different flavors to suit different tastes. They're fun, fruity, and fresh. We have a mix of sparkling and still options, and they're all 11% ABV. Crafted locally here in the UK in Herefordshire, supporting local farmers and businesses. And future product development will be exploring an array of up to, say, 2,000 different flavors you could have with different fruits, and looking at spritzers and even fruit wine cocktails in the future. What we're doing is we're bridging wine into the exciting, fast-growing, ready-to-drink category. You see on this chart here that the innovation that has occurred in the wine industry has been largely focused on the packaging only. The wine itself has stayed very similar. What you've seen also is in the spirits category, a fast move into the ready-to-drink spirits and cocktail sector, creating a fast-moving and exciting offer. What we're doing is taking the traditional wine offer We're innovating in the product itself by making it from fruits other than grapes, and we're also innovating in the packaging by putting it into cans. Thereby, we're leveraging ourselves across into the RTD space. This is a fast-growing market opportunity. The wine market is huge, simply huge. The numbers here are in the billions, even in the UK. The serviceable addressable market, which is the canned wine, is at the moment only a very small percentage of that. But what we see is that it's growing incredibly fast. So over the next 5 years, it's projected to grow at around 13% compound average growth rate, which is a very exciting sector to be in. The business model that we've set up is to have a lean company with low overheads. We have aspirations to be a net zero company and be socially responsible. But notably, we've outsourced our supply chain to reduce the risk, production risk, and that also allows us to grow rapidly and reduce our operating costs. We see here that our sales channels, we have 3 primary ones: D2C, direct sales to customers out at events, around 17%, online D2T sales around 16%, and around 2/3 of sales will be generated through trade. These are 2026 numbers. The traction and activity to date, we started and selling back in September 2022, so we're just coming up to our 3rd year. We reinforced with direct sales to consumers in 2023. 2024, we launched to the trade, and we've been building that out since. We have landed our first retail multiple with Ocado, and we're now supplying into festivals and seeking wholesale distributors. And we have found a number of export trade opportunities that we've been pursuing. One of the key bits of data that is interesting is cans sold to date 27,000. So we have proven this product. This isn't something which I enjoy. It's clearly something which others do too. Traction in the media. We've done quite a lot of work here. We've been very successful in the radio area, and we've been featured on 4 different radio broadcasts with the BBC, Radio X, and so on. We published in a number of publications in the B2C and B2B spaces. And we've been really pleased to win awards from Farm Shop and Deli and the ICWA over the last 2 years. We've started doing some collaborations with a number of other brands, and we found this is a really lucrative way of widening our exposure. So we've been building a strong team. There's me, the founder. I've got a strong experience in the corporate world with procurement, supported by Steve Hollinshead, who's been on the journey pretty much from the start, helping with the finance and building out very comprehensive business models. We've been joined more recently by Richard Sherman, who's as commercial director helping support sales, and he has a lot of experience in the drinks industry. We have
Can you wrap it up in 1 minute, if that's all right?
I'll try. And we've got a couple of industry advisors that have been helping us along the journey. The financial forecasts, we have very strong growth. We're looking to break even in 2027, and we're targeting a gross profit margin of 40% by 2030 and an EBITDA there of 1.75 million. That leads us to the ask. We have been bootstrapping and self-funding this business from the start. We're now looking for our first raise, which is 300,000 sought for a 21% equity in the business. This is EIS eligible. The uses of cash will be 60% for funding inventory for the next batch of production, and then with a focus on growing PR and marketing, and also building the sales team to help drive the trade sales. We are targeting a trade sale in 5 years' time to a cross-category drinks company. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Great presentation. Carly, do you have any thoughts you can share?
Thank you, Peter. Really interesting. I'm interested to know a bit about that sort of the trade sales ambition, and a bit more detail about specifically what channels you see that going into. Where do you see the opportunity space with trade sales?
Yeah, so interestingly, we started, if you go back a couple of years, the focus has been on retail rather than the on-trade. We found about 3 years ago at the outset that the on-trade were quite resistive to cans. I would say that arena has been shifting significantly. We were at the London Craft Beer Festival last weekend, and significant trade interest from the hospitality industry. So it is shifting really, really fast. There are so many opportunities. My problem is focusing in on where I need to go. So the initial focus was on the retail. We've been going direct to independents, farm shops, delis, and the like, and cafes and so on. But now we're widening out to pubs, tap rooms, and other hospitality and festivals. So feeding into bars that are serving at festivals, for example. So never-ending list of opportunities, including travel. Anything that moves, cans are very popular at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's developed so much in the last few years, cans, and as you mentioned, alternative formats as well. Who do you see as being the sort of the competitors? I think this is something you probably get asked a lot. And when with that being, as you say, so fast moving, are there any particular brands you are coming up against, or you see as being particularly aspirational?
Yeah, I think, I mean, our direct competitors we don't actually have any in what we're doing. There are traditional country wines, a very small offering in the UK, and they're all bottled. So we don't really see them as a direct competitor. I think the closest ones are in the RTD space. We're seeing a couple of brands emerging where people are now putting fruit into wine to try and create interesting brands. So Vine Street was one we've come across at shows we've been at, with a very strong flavor hit of a fruit that's been added into wine. It may even have spices in as well. So they're probably emerging quite quickly, but at the moment we don't have a direct competitor in a fruit wine in a can.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, as you say, with this sort of innovation in packaging and the wider space being very, very sharp in that differentiation. It's how you're going to cut through, right, in terms of those conversations. And I think your point on channel is interesting because, you know, as you say, there's a lot of opportunity there, but my advice is always going to be really focus in on those one or two niche segments that you've got that differentiation and that value add, and that's how you win. So I think it'll be interesting to see how you can develop that. You know, working with wholesalers in the UK is all, you know, it's challenging but rewarding if you get that strategy right, but you want to really have that laid down before you go through too many resellers, and you know, you have your margin really well laid out. So I think it's a really interesting proposition.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carly. Emile, do you have any thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Good presentation. I actually hadn't come across the brand yet, and more for me, on terms of from an investor landscape lens, what I wanted to understand a bit more was how is the fruit wine market doing in glass bottles in general? Is it a growth category there? Is that increasing year on year, or because I don't know anything about the fruit wine market in general, and if it's completely nascent, then you know, is that something to, you know, it's worth knowing and worth having a little bit more information about. So that's I would wanted to know what the growth is of fruit wine in general. Is it a category in growth? And for me, it's more about the cans sold to date. Great work on that. I just want to see what the previous couple years have been. So from start to the next year to the following year, what has been the growth year on year on these things? Because your ask is then in multiplying for the years in the future. But if you're doing 50% growth now, you know, how are we going to get to 200% growth with investment? And so that's what I wanted to understand a bit more from the presentation.
Yeah, so thanks, Emile. I mean, your first question is really interesting. I don't think there is published data. The one established supplier is Lime Bay Winery, and their numbers include traditional wine. So it's very hard to separate out any growth numbers that they've got on their fruit wine. So I don't actually have that prospect. I mean, what we're doing is we're offering something new and different into effectively a gap in the market. So that does create a problem in terms of understanding how fast that could grow. What we do see is in other markets, like Scandinavian countries and so on, fruit wine is very popular. So, you know, it's outside the UK. It has proven itself. It's established itself in the US quite well. And I think, to your point, getting some more numbers on this to understand the growth in those markets and what we could replicate here probably be quite useful to have. So in terms of your second question on the growth, we've had growth of around 150% each year as we've grown. We are targeting faster growth than that, and that's the one reason why we're looking for investment. But our growth is around 4x for the next couple of years, and then tailing off slowly down to 1.5x by year 5.
Okay, yeah, great. No, I think that's, for me, in a deck and an investment ask, I always want to know where you're going to spend the money to, and then generate that extra revenue that you're, you know, that path towards even faster growth. Yeah, Neeraj, I'll leave it back to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Scott, do you have any thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, thank you for presenting, Peter. Fascinating product. A few questions. I love that you've managed to, that you're going about your first capital raise and you bootstrap this to really learn and kind of test. I'm curious, besides the target demographic being millennials, what have you learned about your consumers? Who are they? Gender split, socioeconomic. What can you tell us about folks that are buying fruit that's wine, or wine that's fruit, sorry.
Yeah, so I would say it's probably 75% female to male. Probably aligns with wine as a category. They are more affluent. The product is not a cheap product, it is a quality product. So we have seen interest, right? We're thinking millennials from 25 onwards, but we have found strong interest when we're out at markets with students who it appears that the price point isn't of concern, which surprised me from when I was a student. But nowadays it seems that youngsters, if they've got a quality product, they're quite prepared to pay for it. So in the different markets we've been to, we resonate really strongly with millennials. Taste of London is a great example of an event that we go to. They've got a lot of millennials there. It is the target market, and we've been mobbed at that event. So with unbounding enthusiasm. What we do find also, though, is that at other events where we get older people, I still think I'm a millennial, and that's a joke I say on the stall because I still in my head think I am. It seems to have broad appeal to the older generations as well, even though we're not targeting them from a marketing point of view. It does seem to have a broad appeal. So whilst we're focusing on marketing on millennials up to, say, the age 45, we think that's relevant beyond that because people still in their mind still respond to that sort of marketing and still think of themselves in that category.
Got it. Thank you. I'm curious, you started off with, a number of problems to solve, from environmental to flavor profile. I'm curious if you found that is one of those messages resonating more with key consumers than others? Like, why are people turning to this beyond what it is?
Well, two things that we've discovered, and the usefulness of being out at markets and directly talking to consumers. I must have talked to, well, I don't know how many thousand. You get a really good sense of what people are thinking. The two things that resonate, one is the flavor. People have never experienced wine made from other fruits, and that's so exciting. When you see their faces light up when they try this product, they are shocked. how different this is to normal wine. So that really resonates, and it proves that you have to get it onto people's lips for that to occur. The other thing that they seem to resonate with is the can environmental aspects. They're really tuned into this, and they see that as really, really important. And also the natural aspects of sulfite-free, gluten-free, vegan-friendly. When they see that, they really relate to it. They want to drink things that don't have additives in, and they want to know it's a pure and natural product. So it does resonate really strongly, the message about it being locally produced from natural products only.
Got it. Thank you. Last question, but a quick one, which is, are the ingredients in these products just the fruit, yeast, and water? Is there anything else in?
Sugar. Yeah, so we add sugar for the fermentation. The products are quite dry, simply because we don't use sulfite. We have to ferment the sugars out for completion of the ferment. So people are shocked also. They think these are going to be quite sweet, but they're not. They're on the dry end of the spectrum.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Peter. I guess like my only thoughts or feedback or question is, maybe is there some sort of, like, as you're targeting millennials in the UK, is there some sort of nostalgia play coming out? And what I mean by that is, at least in America, I used to drink this thing called Capri Sun, fruit juice when I used to go to school. And so I wonder, is your beverage, the alcoholic version of that, and and can you tie that together, perhaps, as you play with millennials? I don't know. Are you finding that? Is there something like that's surfacing?
That's a really good observation, Neeraj, because we do get nostalgia from years ago. Some of the older customers remembering fruit wines fondly in their local pub, and they said they went away and I loved them. Where are they? I can't source them anymore. And we say, here we are. So yeah, that's a really good point, actually, that we could play on that maybe some more.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Peter. I'm gonna bring up the next presentation. I believe we're gonna be we're gonna show the Bev Guardian video. So there won't be any Q&A from the panel for this one, but Jamal, please take it away.
Yeah, first we've just got one more. We've got, another video. Very short little. Before that, we've got a short little video. No, not that yet. Sorry, 1 second. Just another little short from InvestBev before we move on to the second pitch.
Everybody's been, first of all, very approachable, very nice and open. That's the biggest thing, when you're walking into a program and, it's about people.
From the guest speakers to the team, it's been such a supportive environment, and I think that's really important.
Really just understanding this industry better, the ins and outs, and how much of a people business it really is. That relationships are so key. And that's true anywhere, but especially here.
Yeah, just for those who joined us later, that is a little teaser about InvestBev. They have a webinar in just under an hour and a half about their $100K US accelerator program for drink startups. So if you want to learn more about that, then join them later. We'll be putting the link to that webinar in the chat shortly and at the end of the event. Yeah, now on to the second startup.
Hi, my name is George Rowley. I legalized absinthe in 1998. I own 2 brands, La Fée Parisian and Envy Absinthe. We're now looking to use our distribution network and pivot into dry goods with this brand new device called Bev Guardian against spiking. We're looking to raise £250,000 for 10% equity. The problem, quite simply, people are being harassed, theft and assaulted for sexual assault, which is even worse. So we need solutions. It's a society problem, it's an industry problem. At the moment, They're starting education. The government's got a law coming through. California's ahead of us. They literally this month passed a law making it mandatory for clubs and bars to have covers available. And we're looking at the more important element is a functional solution. And that's where BevGuardian comes in. So what actually is it? Well, here's a good example. This is a paper-based device and it basically applies to the top of the drink. It's got an FDA approved and EU special masking layer that's on the top and masks the adhesive underneath where you don't want it in contact with the drink. You've got a QR code link going to resources to help people in the event of a spiking, and you've got these corners that anchor it on. So there's lots of positive things of innovation in here, which are all part of a patent pending that was filed on the 31st of May this year. So what have we got? It keeps drinks cooler longer. It's made with FFC paper certified, including the box. It's water-based ink, its adhesive and varnish are all water-based. We followed the guidelines for products if you were a sponsor of WWF. So that was a really useful tip, front end. 100 designs on each device, so you know exactly which is your drink because you have a different physical look to it. So there's lots going on and it links into things like drink aware, as we'd hope would be the case. So what have we got? How does it apply? Well, the good news, it's very simple. You take your device, either the bar do it, you strip it off, you line it up on your drink like so, and then you just literally rub it on like that firmly, and that's it. There's the device, it's been attached, and then where the cross is, you stick a straw in. Lovely French mojito. So the great thing about it is it's a single solution, one device for open vessels, cans and bottles. So what's actually happening to date? Well, it's being driven by the universities at the moment. They're even using their welfare funds to financially support getting in covers to protect the students. The government have got a new bill coming in. The Police and Crime Bill 2025 is going to come out in November, we believe. It's charity driven, business driven, so there's lots going on, and obviously the move in California recently. The box itself, very interesting. I've created this from scratch. What you'll see here is a special hinge device. If I pull that forward, that goes forward and back, and that allows the bar person to pick out 1, 2 or 3 as they need or more and hand them over, and they've still got a free hand to be making drinks. So very user friendly. It's even got these mini feet, so it's raised off the bar if the bar is damp, having just been cleaned. So where's the revenue stream? There's 2 streams. Classic, this is a dry goods device. We're going to be supplying through the drinks network. So we're literally treating this as though it's a bottle of spirit. That's how we're approaching this. So it's quite innovative in that respect as well. It's based on fauna, aquatic, flora and mindfulness. That's the program I've developed in conjunction with a 10% going to respective charities per year from gross profits after tax. Then we move across to what we call bespoke. Bespoke revenue is different again. The bespoke revenue is going to be more than 33% that we're looking at on this side, and it's going to be linking up with multinationals, big corporates, groups, other drinks companies, hotel groups, concert festivals, you name it, anyone who wants promotion right in front of the customer. We then look at who's involved. Well, there's myself. I've got 30 years plus experience in the drinks industry. Before that, I was a Lloyd's broker. We've then got Jane, who used to be Global Asset Management, a compliance officer, and then Elena Regan's been with us for over 20 years. We've got a really solid team, and we've got Will Rowe, who's just joined us, gives a nice young element to the team. So funds, very simply, we're raising 250. You just need to read the slide because it just gives you a rough breakdown of where we're going to spend the funds and how they'll be used to grow the company. So here are some testimonials. They speak to themselves. We've got a charity saying we've been looking for a product like this for years to come through. The sustainability side's fantastic. We've got universities, we've been to a couple and they both like the product. So it's good news on that front. And one of them uses over 50,000 a year, 2,000 per setting. And these are products that literally, well, to be fair, aren't at the level ours are. We are literally next generation stuff. So I didn't even mention the fact we've got tamper evident on the device, but thank you anyway. If you're interested in what we're doing, you want to become part of what we're up to, reach out to us and we'll see if we can do a deal. Thanks very much. Appreciate your time.
Wonderful. Yeah, that presentation from George, from Bev Guardian. Really important social impact mission as well there. He's got a fantastic distribution network, given that he's been in the industry with a large number of products himself. If you want to reach out to him, please check out the recording again. I think his sound was very good when he recorded it. So sorry we couldn't turn up the volume. And the presentation is also at that DocSend link that's in the general chat. But yeah, thanks from George, thanks from Bev Guardian. Wasn't able to make it today because of a holiday, but he did pitch with us last week on our feedback guidance edition and wanted to work on an improved presentation, and we promised we'd play it, so that's what we did. Now, moving on to our...
I think next up is Anna from Bemused Drinks. So we can...
one more... just gonna go quick. Yeah, let's move onwards. I think my video just closed. So let's move on with our third pitch. Yeah.
So Anna, are you ready?
I'm ready. Hello, everyone. Very excited to be here. Hello. So shall I start sharing? Yeah.
Please, yes.
Okay. I'm Anna, one of the co-founders of Bemused. And as a long-time moderate drinker, I know the problem of our consumers myself firsthand. Have you ever worked hard, gone out to celebrate with a fine meal, but found no sophisticated non-alcoholic options on the menu? So nearly half of 16,000 surveyed wine drinkers criticize dealcoholized wines for poor taste and high sugar content. And conventional winemaking harms biodiversity, particularly pollinators. For example, in France, 20% of pesticides used accounts for wine industry, while only 3.7% of farmland is used by vineyards. Innovative, low sugar and nature-friendly solutions are urgently needed. Discover Bemused, an award-winning non-alcoholic sparkling wine alternative with a distinct, intriguing flavor, very surprising dry finish, and incorporating natural ingredients, boosting biodiversity. Honey is our hero ingredient. Raw honey lends Bemused wines its complex, rich flavor profile and allows to balance sweetness. It is our terroir, our provenance, because taste of honey reflects local ecosystem, the forage that honeybee gathers. And also honey wines are the most sustainable drinks on earth. They require no irrigation, no pesticides, no insecticide, and actually responsible beekeeping boosts biodiversity. Driven by the wellness trend, the non-alcoholic drinks market hit 20.57 billion last year, and is expected to continue to grow at 7%. On the contrary, alcohol consumption fell by 3% in the third consecutive year to the lowest level since 1961. Our sum of 64 million reflects our growth strategy in select markets. Bemuse targets health-conscious, high achievers living in large metropolitan cities like London and Amsterdam. This affluent group seeks refined, celebratory drink, and Bemuse is the elegant, healthy, and sustainable go-to sparkling drink. Unlike our main competitors, dealcoholized wines, we are naturally fermented, so we do not use chemical dealcoholization process. We're very low on sugar, and Bemuse also stands out for its intriguing taste with distinct honey notes and nature-positive ingredients like spices, herbs, and berries. Our business model targets high-end hospitality. We've got listings at Sheraton Park Lane, for example, and the Coram Room at the Bloomsbury Hotel. Select retail, for example, over 100 locations of natural trusts. And we build our loyal direct-to-consumer community through our 360 degrees omni-channel marketing strategy. So we celebrate our traction. We're revenue generating, proven concept. Our trade consumers are very happy. We've got high B2B retention, and we completed several very high-profile, interesting collaborations. For example, as W3 Dining's executive chef Masuki Sugisaki built the whole lunch menu around Bemuse drinks. He used the honey that we used in our flavors as ingredients for his cooking, and it was an incredible celebration of Bemuse. We were one of the sponsors of Flowers exhibition at Saatchi Gallery, and the theme of the exhibition, Flowers and Contemporary Art, aligned with our values and what the brand stands for. This is our team, myself and my co-founder Natalia. We're accomplished professionals. Before Bemuse, I used to run a family office. I was working in finance industry. Natalia has many years of consumer research and marketing experience, and she was also a country manager and ran a team of 60+ people. And we're also long-term friends, so we've been standing shoulder to shoulder, supporting each other for more than half of our lives, and it's very exciting to work together and bring our amazing product to market to our consumers. So we are now raising 5.5 million to build on the foundation that we've achieved so far. We want to make our project higher margin to deliver superior returns to our investor. This is part of the plan for further R&D. We know that our industry is capital intensive, and this is why we focus on our product quality to make sure we become a category defining liquid, category defining brand. So this is what we raise for at the moment. So thank you very much, and I would be happy to connect with everyone on LinkedIn. And thank you for those who sent me invitations already. Happy to be part of this group and meet so many interesting people in the drinks industry.
Thank you so much, Anna. Emile, would you like to go ahead this time? Well, maybe let's skip Emile. How about Scott? Do you want to go?
Sure. Wonderful presentation, super succinct. I love the name. I like how it's packaged. Could you, though, take a moment to just walk us through the SKU architecture? I saw pictures of bottles that said Kaluna and Pomona. How's one to approach, which bottles for which occasion and that type of thing?
That's right. So we currently have 4 SKUs, and we develop them based on traditional recipes of honey wine. We look how honey wines used to be done in the past and chose types of honey that will go with the ingredients. So we have And the names of our bottles, they're built around the tastes of honey, the different types of honey. So Origo is the original. Uses spring honey from the UK with 3 different types of flavor, very light, very refreshing, very floral. Fiora means flower, so this is more like floral profile. It uses borage flower from the UK, which is also called the star of the UK. It's a bright blue star flower coming first in spring. And we add raspberry, that's our take on rosé. Then Pomona is made with apple blossom honey, and Pomona is the goddess of fruit, so that's where the name is coming from. And we add ginger and cardamom. This is our spicier flavor, also perfect for Christmas, really popular around winter time. And the last one is Kaluna, which is made with heather honey. So that's the strongest. Heather blossoms, the latest in the year, so it's quite dark in color, very herbal, very earthy, and we add herbs as well to accentuate those natural honey notes. With tarragon and basil, our secondary ingredients for that. Give it 2 bottles, so we were exactly as echoing Peter thoughts that cans should be more popular with Gen Z. And it's true that bottles and cans, they complement each other. Bottles are more for share on occasion, celebratory, and cans more casual. It's also more accessible when you are introducing something new, like our drink is quite new, it's a new ingredient. It's also a low to no sector, which is new, so lots of new things. A big bottle is a big commitment, so cans are much easier. So we stick to both. We think it's a good strategy. And going forward in our more detailed presentation, you will see our future plan to develop a more celebratory version of the bottle. So at the moment, it's quite democratic, and we want to make a higher margin and shift it closer to the celebratory occasion, celebratory packaging. It was a long answer, but I hope I give sufficient detail. Yeah.
No, thank you. I'm curious. I could imagine in the game of telephone that sometimes fails, this is maybe brought to a bartender that has it at their bar, or a retailer, and I could see a consumer saying, "Is this non-alcoholic sparkling mead?" How would you like that question answered? Would you say yes? Would you say no, it's this? How do you contend with the notion that this is still honey based and people have preconceived ideas?
And I think your video is cutting off. It's a bit choppy, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question because we won the award for the launch of the year and we were calling ourselves mead. But we discovered later that it's a bit confusing.
Try your videos off for Anna. Can you try your video off, Anna?
For a lot of consumers, especially in the UK, I know that in the US, it's worse, but doesn't give you an idea of what actually the taste is about. So we started to call ourselves honey wine, which is exactly the same as mead, but it immediately sets expectation. It's a wine substitute. It's much clearer in this way. Yeah.
Thank you. I picked up a few pieces, but helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate this. Okay, Emile, would you like to ask some questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Thanks, Anna. I mean, sorry, obviously the video. So I'll just go and say what some questions I had. For me, I have worked with different products that are mead based, one very recently and one in the past, and they do struggle with the word mead and the association with honey. And so I think a little bit more information in terms of how the category is doing, how it's changing, how it's developing, how you're counteracting the different notions that it's potentially an old like an old term, an old way of drinking. How do you combat that? Because I know a lot of people in the sparkling tea sector have done very well in associating sparkling tea with a very premium premium product. So for me, that I would love to see that. In terms of just on the end bit of more about the investment ask, obviously I know I understand it's a pitch deck and there's more behind it, but I'd love to see a lot more about the velocity, that 70% purchase rate. What does that actually look like in terms of numbers? How many accounts are reordering, and how quickly are they reordering, and are they ordering bigger quantities? And yeah, is that 100K? Is that per month? Is that per year? Is the investment ask, is that for what? For what equity are you providing? So there was, I think, a few things missing in terms of the actual investor piece to give me more clarity on that.
Okay, so the honey is a very premium ingredient, and it's very complex in taste, and that gave us an idea to use it as a base for our non-alcoholic drinks. So where we started, we wanted to create a non-alcoholic drink and be a player in a non-alcoholic sector. So we did not intend to replicate the taste of meat. We were just inspired by this ingredient in the same way as the executive chef Nagasaki was inspired by honey for cooking. So that was a very good example that this can be a celebration of culinary art. Working with honey, it's very, very rewarding from that perspective. And that's our whole strategy, to separate from that notion of something old-fashioned and something associated with history, although we really build on that rich heritage. But the idea is to play in the non-alcoholic sector in a different way. We found out that there is a big dissatisfaction with de-alkalized wines, although they are getting much, much better than used to be. But it's a whole process of removing alcohol from the existing wine, which were developed not for de-alkalization. They were developed as alcohol-containing wine. When you remove alcohol, it's a different process. Here we start with what can work for non-alcoholic drink, but you can have in wine occasion instead of wine. And honey gives us really, really lots of versatility to play with. So we think it's a premium, more premium even than teas, and the same advantage of having the terroir, having that perception of something exclusive, something very, very high quality and complexity as teas. And indeed, teas are our competitors as well. I didn't put it in the presentation to confuse, but we see sparkling teas as also players in our sector. That's the first question. The second question, we have a quite ambitious plan for the development. So we wanted to take our company into profitability and raise sufficient capital to bring us to that stage and to be able to grow the team, to do R&D, which is important at this stage, to make drink more premium so that the margins work better. I also shared with Jamal a more detailed deck where you can see our financial projections, and also that triangle that we built with premium product at the top and keeping the bottoms as a more inclusive spritzer type of drink, more casual and more day-to-day. Yeah, so we've got the plan and the marketing. So these are the most three areas: marketing team, R&D, and working capital to produce the drink. In our sector, as we all know, we need capital to make our drinks and people to sell it. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Emile. Appreciate this. Carly, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share?
You're on mute.
Sorry, I'll start that again. Thank you, Anna. I think it looks really interesting and make me really want to taste for sure. Apologies if I missed it, but what's the retail price point? I know there's a few across the range, but
yeah. So at the moment we're selling a 12 pounds bottle, and the cans are 3.2, and the plan is to bring it closer to 20 mark with a more premium package. And,
sure. Okay, thanks. And I understand the sort of the honey and the message on the liquid, and I really like that as a proposition. Does that present a bit of a risk with your cost of goods? Have you got plans to sort of manage that aspect of it?
Yeah, so our plan for the core heroes. So at the moment, what R&D is needed for the core product, we want to make it really consistent, because in the past we had a little bit fluctuations from batch to batch. So we've learned that firsthand, that that's a risk for the business. So we want to create a blend of specific types of honey that we want to use to achieve specific profile, a little bit like champagne houses do, for the same reason that they don't have enough material to create what they need. And then for the very high-end limited edition bottles, we will use single origin honeys to create a limited edition, and we view it more as a marketing tool, which doesn't dilute the margins, but the core product will achieve by blending.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? When you have that sort of supply chain, it's just thinking about the deviations, as you say, in sort of the taste profile, but also the price, you know, to make sure you can keep that consistent. I think that's really interesting, and I think it's interesting you're thinking about that premiumization opportunity as well. You've got some nice trade listings. The Coral Room sounds like it's spot on. Can you give me a bit more detail on what your sales traction looks like at the moment? You know, do you have some information on rate of sale in those sort of bars and who you're targeting?
So in hospitality, the rate of sale, well, we've got orders, well, every month we get reorders. So it's like, take Coral Room, we've been with them for over 2 years, 2.5 years. So every month they reorder several cases. We are on their wellness menu, and they put it as a part of Dry January, but then it's stayed for 2.5 years. So it was very successful. Successful listing. They added us to Delaware Terrace this year as a collaboration with a gin company. So actually very inclusive. We also can work with alcohol brands. We think it's only helps to make the whole drinks industry healthier. If we can combine Bemused with alcohol, it's good for everyone. Yeah, so we've got some international partners as well. So that's where the majority of our revenue is coming from. We have partners in Germany, in Austria, in the Netherlands, where my co-founder is based. There we work with distributors, so we have a little bit less information about the velocity of their clients, but they also regularly reorder a pallet every couple of months. That's their reorder size.
Fantastic, great. And I also had some questions relating to Emile's point around the raise. Have you raised before, or how have you funded the development until now?
Yeah, we did raise crowdfunding through crowdfunding in 2023. We closed that round, and also through private friends and family as at the beginning. Yeah.
Excellent. I guess that is to Emile's point
and
as
we
well.
We have just completed the startup bootcamp in Amsterdam. So also our small investor, and that was very, very successful. So I can highly recommend if anybody is looking for an accelerator. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it to Emile's point. You know, like the 1.5 raise is quite a large number for, I guess, where you are, but it sounds like you're getting some nice proof points. So I know you've given us a flavour of it today, and I'm sure you have a more detailed deck, but I think for me, that's what I want to see as well, like some more of those sort of proof points to get to sort of, I guess, justify an ask, which is getting to the slightly higher end of where you might be at your stage. But the proposition looks great. And as I say, I'm going to have to taste it. I'll have to take myself to the Coral Room.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Katia. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Carly and Anna. Actually, I would like to ask a question. I don't know if you've already brought this up. Who's your ideal customer?
The customer, yes. The customer, our customers are mostly, I would say, 75% women, not very young, millennials and upwards. I think the price was, I was really interested to listen to Peter, what he was saying, but we discovered that price point is still quite important. So the millennials, they're really those who start looking after their health and also can afford to look after their health better. So that's our target point. And we have, having said that, actually men in tech community seems to be also on board of our drink. So it's inclusive. So we don't target women specifically, but it just happens that it's a more feminine proposition. Yeah.
Perfect.
Mm.
Well, thank you so very much. Appreciate this. Well, I think we're going to go on to our next promo video from InvestWeb. And Jamal, why don't you take it away?
Thank you, Neeraj. For those just joining us, there'll be an InvestBev webinar immediately after this event, starting in 50 minutes. That's 50. And we'll paste the link in the chat shortly. It's for $100,000 accelerator program. And yeah, you can learn more there. We have a lot of panelists usually at our events from InvestBev, and that's why we're doing some cross marketing. Yeah, over to you. We've got our we didn't show it earlier because we weren't double sure if sorry, 1 second, if Monica was joining us, but we do have Monica Elaine from Prosecco, and she will be up next.
Well, great. Monica, why don't you take it away?
Sure. So before I jump into the slides, I would just say that maybe some of you recognize this drink because this is one of the brands that we created along with all strategies and implementation, everything from sales and marketing, concept, voice of brand, digital, you name it. That brand is now doing about close to 300,000 cases worldwide, had a $250 million exit. So we're a proven team, and now on to what we're really doing, because for the first time we're creating brands for ourselves, starting with Lo Secco Prosecco, which just launched in the US market softly 10 days ago and is about to go live. So I'm going to share my screen. So this was a process that we created when we developed Empress Gin that involved what I call a digital first brand. The industry has been quite resistant to utilizing digital technology. And from a marketing standpoint, we believe that brands need to be led with digital and not traditional methodology. We have a hybrid approach to the marketplace. But before I get there, the situation is from a health and wellness standpoint, we're seeing imploding metabolic disease worldwide. And what it comes down to it is about our food and drink and the caliber of what we're putting in our bodies. I happen to have a background not only in wine and spirits, working on all sides, but also in nutrition and fitness. I was a D1 athlete, so I've been doing things like keto and low carb and intermittent fasting, even from the time before they had a name. When we created Lo Secco Prosecco, it was something I came up with about 5 years ago. And the direction, understanding nutrition, how it impacts our bodies, is really about the reduction of sugar. You can talk about low calorie all you want as a brand, but it really has no proper impact because 100 calories of ice cream is not processed the same way by your body as 100 calories of beef. So understanding that basic principle, we have to look at really what does impact our bodies negatively. And shockingly, It is not alcohol that's the worst thing for us. It is sugar, and sugar seems to be in just about everything. If you want to look at what the comparison is with different categories of sparkling wine, this is where Prosecco falls in. Now, when I create a brand, I also like to look at not just the market gap, the white space. I'm looking for things, first of all, that resonate for me, but also I'm looking at where there is just some sort of a miss because people have overlooked it. The wine is 0 sugar per 5-ounce pour. It's vegan, it's low carbohydrate. And essentially anyone that's mindful of their health and wellness, and once they discover a product like this, there is really not much in terms of going back. As I mentioned, we launched 2 weeks ago, and I can tell you from the first retailers that have ordered, they've reordered in 10 days, and they're ordering floor stacks. This is my co-founder. She is my oldest daughter, actually. We been working together for the past 15 years at FMG, creating these brands. She leads our creative team, and she takes my strategies and brand vision, and she creates the actual physical packaging and the brand design. We have a nutrition label on the back, and I think that from our standpoint, that's really important because we're interested in informing consumers as to what is in their drink and what is not. Now, as far as Brut Nature, that's as dry as it gets, but because I use really great fruit and we have intensity of flavor, nobody's missing anything. People have a hard time believing that there's nothing in it as far as sugar goes. Our packaging is down to every detail, and this is another reason why retailers have been so excited to get the brand, because the second they see what it comes in the box, it matters. We have a lifestyle vibe, and we are talking about experiences, and there's going to be a whole lot more to come on that. I'm not going to preempt myself. Our announcements start next week. What I can say is even before the wine landed, we sold about a quarter of a 40-foot container, and we're launching e-commerce in 45 states by Monday. The top import company of Canada, National Import, actually owned by the pension fund of Canada, their CEO asked for samples to taste for the leadership team. They were blown away. We have a meeting next week to finalize details. We're negotiating UK at the moment for a really important e-commerce site. I just gave the licensing rights and sales for Italy to our production partner, so they will represent us throughout Italy. We have a lot more to come as far as Europe goes, but we've already been approached by a top importer for Brazil. They import leading California wines, and can't wait to have Prosecco. So second and third containers are under production right now. I paid for the first one. We've upped the timeline because we saw how things were moving, and the Beverage Journal has already reached out to us. It's a premier US trade publication. As far as competition, as I say, we capture the visual and physical and digital shelves. So the wine speaks for itself. As far as the nutrition side, we are the driest, but I can also say we are the most delicious Prosecco. So once you taste it, and we have physical experiences now with buyers, with customers, both in trade and consumers, that have had really, really interesting feedback. We also thought that we would be leaning heavier to women, and that's not turning out to be the case. So far, it's about 50-50, which is super interesting. Did not anticipate that, but we'll have real numbers in about 6 months on all the data points. We're raising $1 million on a $10 million pre-money. use of funds are primarily as it's laid out. I have complete details. If we go to those levels, I'm happy to discuss further. But we will be going into production for the rosé in October. We will launch different sizes and formats come January, and look forward to all of you tasting this incredible wine. Happy to take your questions.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Monica. Just wanted to give you time to wrap it up. So yeah, Emile, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share?
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Monica. I think you were on a similar call not too long ago, and so the progress you've made is pretty amazing, and congratulations on getting this far. I think you've made some amends to the presentation and all that stuff, and I think it comes across even better than it did before. So for me, I think I guess the question I would have is, you're doing a lot, you're launching a lot. Where is it just the two of you, or is there plans of expanding the team quite rapidly to manage the sales process and all customer satisfaction and everything like that? So that's my only question, because I think I had provided quite a bit before.
Sure. So I will say the customer, so the e-commerce fulfillment, we have full-blown customer service, and that's our digital partnership. I started a digital marketing agency in 2010. So the utilization of technology and really creating efficiency in how we go to market is huge for us. And I'm doing it with a lean team. Yes, the plans are to grow the team. Everybody who's coming into the leadership team, and that's all I want inside in-house, will be an investor. I'm not taking anybody on as an employee. So they're either going to be an investor and partner in this, or we're not having it. We'll just use external resources. The third spoke in the wheel, I would say, would be my youngest daughter, because I happen to have a really talented family, and I'm working through that. My youngest daughter is IT, Capgemini, and all that, working for everything from Boeing to Starbucks. And I can tell you that we have a very robust project management scope in handling everything we're handling. On the sales side, we also have external resources that we're going to tap as we scale, and we have a hybrid strategy for the market approach. We're negotiating some distribution things, but I'm not interested in owning the market as it is in the US. A very common approach where you own the state, you really prove out to the distributors that you're worthy. I'm not interested. We're going to go about this on a pull-through level. I'm consumer obsessed, and I know what they want. I always have, and that has been the strength for us, and that is what we're delivering in spades.
Right. Fantastic.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I actually never knew that you're a family kind of run business. How's that play out when there's disagreements, or who wins?
We haven't killed each other yet.
I love it. Awesome. Carly, do you want to maybe ask some questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Monica. It looks amazing, and congratulations on that launch. That's fantastic. I think it looks great, and I'm interested about your various markets that you talked about that you're going to go into. I think it's interesting, but is there any sort of plans on sort of brand adaptation or product adaptation to penetrate new markets, or you're gonna stay with the kind of core proposition, which I'm not saying, by the way, I disagree with. It's just a question, really.
Sure. No, it's a very fair question, because many ways you would think about that. No, we are hitting this market so on point, I can't even begin to describe. So as I said, I've been in the health and wellness space for decades, but I can point to the recent movement, certainly in the US, which leads this entire conversation. Everything from the MAHA movement to the sugar impact in every part of our lives. It's ridiculous. The rise of diabetes too. I have in my deck a pretty clear map as to the rise and the expectation of how that's working. When I did the business plan and the forecast, I didn't even include Asia, but China, for instance, Asia is ridiculously in bad shape. And China, for instance, because they must have known I was creating this brand, they're moving towards sparkling, aromatic white, fresh, dry, completely away from what they were doing. So we're hitting that trend on point two. That'll be, you know, a little bit further down the road for us. And when I say further, I don't mean years, I mean months. So we're looking for, and I have a lot of networks. I've been in this business 25 years, so I'm going to tap them all.
Fantastic. It says that you've got it all planned out, which is amazing. And related to that, I guess you have a clear sort of quite a fast path to profitability, or do you plan to
Yes.
kind of raise again after this one to reinvest? Like, what does that look like from a sort of
Sure.
growth and raising plan?
100%. So this raise can get us to basically everything that we want, but the question then becomes, and it's a strategic decision, and I would not say I would make that decision by myself. This would be a board call of our investors of, okay, do we want some distributions at this point? Do we want to, you know, double down and raise more money because we can hit 1 million cases 3 years faster? These are strategic decisions. I have different scenarios laid out. I have a secondary raise already at double, triple valuation. I also have some ideas about what that raise would involve because it's a little bit different than a standard round. So I've got some deeper thoughts on it. At the same time, right now it's focus beeline on rolling out the e-commerce. And by the way, I really, really dislike the commentary about DTC. We are not DTC. We, in this industry, I don't even know why anybody's talking about it. It's e-commerce, and I've also changed the dynamic of, this is not B2B to C. What we are is B2C to B, because I'm going to own the consumer and pull back on the trade. And because I'll get it done. As long as the consumer is in love, we're all in.
Yeah, I completely align, Monica. I talk about this a lot with my clients, that I can build your commercial strategy, but if you don't go deep in your consumer, then it's for nothing, right? It needs to be consumer first all the time. So I think you're exactly right.
And to that point, so this is not about a specific demographic. This is not millennials, zillennial, whatever. This is a market segmentation across all ages, sexes, and stages. I care about the lifestyle. And if they live that lifestyle, if they're 21, 41, 101, they're a Los Eco consumer.
Thank you. Sounds great. I can't wait to see what you do with it.
Can't wait for you to all taste it.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, I do have a follow-up question on that before we give it to Scott. When it comes to your ideal customer, I see you have it by different age groups and whatnot. How does your messaging change or evolve to capture the audience, so to speak? And not just in America, but you're talking about going to Italy and I think Brazil and a few other places. How's that messaging evolving?
Well, first of all, I think, as I said, the core health dynamics for this market segment are worldwide the same. It's about their nutrition focused, obsessed food. They're nutrition detectives, essentially. They're scouring their food and drink. And unfortunately, in the wine and spirits sector, we're not doing a great job on this point. So that's one thing. And then the other part is, we do see now real examples. I'll give you one. This was hysterical. Connecticut, Greenwich, high net worth for anybody that doesn't know. It's like the hub of private equity. Mother and daughter come into the store, go straight to the cold box, pull out Mignonetto, several bottles, walk. The mother is paying for it. The girl, who's in her mid-20s, late 20s, comes and tastes Los Eco. The mother walks out the door. The girl goes after the mother. You have to taste this. Come back. She comes back. She tastes the wine. She's like, oh my God. And she starts pulling bottles and paying for them. They're never buying Mignonetto again. So this is, age categories. And I look at this with my girls, and I have 3 kids, and I have 2 millennials, 1 Gen Z. And I look at all their friends and the consumption habits. So I was always clear that the data was wrong. And this non-alcoholic thing, this is like the sheep leading each other off the cliff. We'll see what happens there, but just quote me on that. I don't see it. So, flavor profile, clean nutrition, those are going to win all day. I don't care what form they take, but that's what's going to win. Food, drink, alcohol, everything.
Perfect. Well, thank you for that. Scott, how about, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, look at the product is accessible, a lot of clarity around the brand, focus, love all that. Great pack. Can't wait to try it. Can you share just a little mechanics around pricing? It is a little pricier in the US for a Prosecco. Is that because long term, you're not at scale yet? Are you just trying to capture more margins? What's the thinking around pricing, and what can you share around margins?
Sure. Scott, I build brands. I create brands. I don't do mass market commodities. And unfortunately, this industry prices everything as a commodity. That's why it's in trouble. I build brands. And so we hit a target of where our consumer, and I go back to knowing your consumer, our consumer shops at Whole Foods, at Sprouts, at the top highest quality food arenas, and they pay up for organic, biodynamic, non-GMO, whatever. They would laugh at me if I tried to bring this out at 15 and wouldn't believe it. And so no, we are at $24.99. We are going to put probably a lot more back into marketing than other people do. We are going to be more profitable sooner than other companies are. And also we're setting a standard for a cleaner, better product. This is it. And not everybody has to buy it. It's not a mass market product. But I think based on what we're seeing, it is going to do well at that price point. In fact, in Greenwich, it's like $26.99, $27.99, and people were two-fisting it out, half case. I'm not at all concerned, and maybe that's not going to hold in every pocket of the US or everywhere, but I can tell you online, this is why the e-commerce is so cool, because when we did Empress, I had 0 states I could ship to in 2017, 0, and then we could do 10. I have 45 with Prosecco. My market is finding me because they're looking for this. So, and for we're going to have recurring revenue through membership, and the membership is going to allow them to have deeper, better price points. They will be able to go down to $19.99 or $21.99 free shipping. It's going to be recurring revenue. We're setting it up right now, and I think that's going to be helpful. But we're holding $24.99 nationally, and then let people make whatever monies they can make.
Great. One last question, just with the $1 million raise, what metrics can you share? Where do you expect that to take you, either in terms of where does that get you in terms of revenue, margins, team, like how can any shape you can provide there?
Sure. So we believe it can take us through year 2. And actually, as I said, I don't need to raise more money if we don't want to. It's really going to be a strategic decision about how to scale up faster, and we can do that. And then more of that second round would be directed at that. But in the first round, this capital is really about product, so inventory. We have really good margins, very healthy margins coming in, even with any tariffs or anything like that, we're fine. There are sales activations I want to do, and definitely on the marketing. So to me, that's going to get us probably to north of 5 million in revenue. And that could happen in year 2, based on what we're seeing. That's why I'm saying, like, our target, I wrote the forecast a year ago. So our target is essentially just over 1 million in year 1, just around there. And then year 2, it's more about exponential, because everything with the first production run is just, you have to go through, you just have to go through it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Monica. Great. Well, how about this? Why don't we go to our fourth and last video from InvestBev? Jamal, why don't you share that at your convenience?
Definitely. Just placing the 4 founders that just amazingly pitched in the chat. So at least you've got their LinkedIn details. Yeah, there we are. There's the 4 founders that pitched tonight and today, sorry, and their startups. And I'm just now sharing my screen.
To any brand who's serious about coming into the US market or launching, whether they're domestic or an imported brand, they should take advantage of this program.
Every day I was sitting with the cohorts. It's like a new power that came to me. We talk about this same thing, different age, but we have the same goals, trying to succeed in the USA. And it was really, really, really interesting. Merci.
Those that just joined us, that is regarding the webinar that's coming up in 25 minutes with one of our partners who very often provide panelists to our drinks focused events. Pasting the webinar link in the chat now, and then we're just going to move now to the final wrap up of the event. Thank you. Just passing back to Neeraj for the thanks.
Perfect. Well, thank you so very much. So before we finish off, I'm happy to announce that we're going to have a Zoom breakout rooms. Actually, we're going to have 3 Zoom breakout rooms. So if you guys want to stay later and chat, I'll be there. So I also want to thank all the panelists for their time and ongoing commitment to support startups. Thank you to all the general attendees for joining and staying with us until the very end. So our investor panelists are Carly, Emile, and Scott, and our presenters are Peter, George, Anna, Monica, and the chairman who opened their set of 4 teaser videos today, and the founders and experts from the InvestBev Accelerator. So anyways, the webinar link is being posted in the chat. I would like to also share our, I'd also like to thank our support team, Meiraj AI, Varun Sarthak, and Kale Uni, and Pagoda. Jamal, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, thank you. Just wanted to just thank our presenters again. Sorry, I had a sound issue with my Bluetooth there, so I lost track of where you were at. Yeah, big thanks to our presenters, Peter, Anna, obviously George, who presented the pre-recorded pitch, and obviously Monica, who finished us up. At the end, we've got some upcoming events. One that's happening immediately is the InvestBev webinar, and the link to that is pasted in the chat, starting in just over 20 minutes. We've also got our event on the 30th of July, which is the Food and Beverage Pitch Lounge. We've run this for 5 years. Every 2-3 months we run it. It's very broad. We have everything from vertical farming through to CPG retail, including drinks. And so join us again next Wednesday at, this is actually slightly the wrong time. It's going to be an hour later at 6 to 8:30 UK time. And we've got a number of events in August, kind of trying a few new things. We're going to focus on Africa with our drink series in conjunction with the Kenya and the Africa Drinks Awards. We've got a food tech event at the end of the month focused on Latin America, and there'll probably also be an AgTech event focused on Asia as well at some point in the month. September's been massively MENA and Dubai focused. We have our feedback guidance event for founders either looking to access the Middle Eastern market or already based there. That will kick off the month. Then we'll move on to some also in-person networking events in Dubai, in addition to our hybrid pitch event. If you're interested in becoming a panelist and pitching at any of our events or partnering and sponsoring, we do reach out to us at info@pitchlounge.net. If you want to be a panelist, there's also a very short 3-4 field web form, pitchlounge.net/panelists. And now we're going to move to breakout rooms. So I'm going to stay in the main room just to hold the fort for now. I think some of the panelists will still be around. Hopefully you can continue the discussions, but also the audience members, you're also able to join those. Once I open them, you should find the breakout room button and invite on your control bar. If you get confused, please just speak out and we can put you in a room that you want. Let's keep discussions going. If people are really keen to keep talking, I will keep the event going. But also some of us will be going on to the Invest Web webinar, but I can keep the Zoom running so you can keep on networking a little bit longer than 20 minutes, those who want to stay longer. So yeah, thank you very much for joining the Beverage Pitch Lounge. That concludes the end of the live stream live stream and recorded element.